All right, so we are starting module number 4 today. And in this, we'll do Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita, written by Srila Rupa Goswami. I'll also, just give me 1 second, joining from my phone so I don't lose you. Okay, so we're doing Introduction to Upadeshamrita, or Nectar of Instruction. This is written by Srila Rupa Goswami, and it is a classical work composed of 11 concise verses that present a progressive path of spiritual maturity. One of the closest and intimate disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we are all called Rupanugas because we follow the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami. So in the introduction, we see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first, the reason why he came to earth, right? We all know 5,000 years ago, Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. In the end, he said, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanan Braja. And then 4,500 years after that, Krishna saw that nobody's really able to follow how to surrender to him. So he came as his own devotee to teach us by his example how to follow. Just like sometimes I remember I had a math tutor in school, although the teacher is telling us, but coming back home, the homework is there. I really don't know how to do it. So parents, okay, let's get a tutor for you. And the tutor, like personally, through showing how to solve, right? I see the tutor doing it and then I can do it myself. The teacher also does it, but this is like personal one-to-one, like that. Mahaprabhu came, Krishna came in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us personally, guide us in the um, bhakti marg, and especially to give us Radha Prem. So, talking about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his 48 years, um, 24 years are called Adi Leela, which were in Navadvip. The rest of the 24 years are called um, Shesha Leela, out of which 6 years in the beginning of those 24 years. And this is 24 years, Shesha Leela is after sannyas in Jagannath Puri. And then 6 years he traveled to Varanasi, to Vrindavan, to South India, to spread the mission of Krishna consciousness. And that was the first 6 years. That is called Madhya Leela. And the rest, Antya Leela, is the remaining 18 years where he was in Jagannath Puri. There was no traveling, experiencing that love of Radharani, right, himself, and exclusively experiencing and relishing that bhav, participating in the Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra every year, and then inspiring other devotees through Hari Katha, and then also showing and teaching exemplary Vaishnav behavior, Vaishnav culture, and then and giving personal association to his disciples and devotees. So now that bhav that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was experiencing, particularly there were two pastimes which were relished in those years, and those were, one, when Krishna was leaving Vrindavan. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. So, two pastimes that Mahaprabhu was especially relishing. The first one, when Krishna was leaving Vrindavan to go to Mathura. And the second one was when, after many, many years, the gopis were uniting with Krishna in Kurukshetra. The first time they saw Krishna after a long, long time, and seeing him in the vesha of a king, in their hearts, they were pulling him towards Vrindavan. That's Jagannath Puri Yatra. So, Rath Yatra. So, these two pastimes he was especially relishing in those years, in the Sheshan Leela and Anta Leela. Okay. And then relishing these pastimes, he used to sometimes just go in trance, be unconscious. And then one such time and then whenever he saw a little hill, he used to think that's, Govardhan Hill. Whenever he used to see a little, even a small body of water, he used to think this is Yamuna. And then wherever he saw trees, he used to think this is Vrindavan. So like this, he was relishing. And one such time when he was, he came out of his trance, and then soon after that, he started instructing on the rules and regulations of bhakti. And at that time, Srila Rupa Goswami was also present there. And he noted all of those in his mind, all those instructions. And then they came forward in the form of Upadeshamrita when he wrote all of those instructions down. So again, these are concise 11 verses and taking us progressively from the rules and regulations all the way to living in Braj and Radha Kund and then glories of Radha Kund, leading us to Krishna Prem. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, constantly absorbed in the mood of Srimati Radharani, instructs in the process of Bhakti Yoga, noted by Srila Rupa Goswami in his mind and reproduced in the form of Upadeshamrita. Okay, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj also speaks about Rupa Goswami. Let's have somebody read the translation.
Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Mother.
Okay. Before the creation of this cosmic manifestation, the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahma with the details of the creation and manifested the Vedic knowledge. In exactly the same way, the Lord, being anxious to revive the Vrindavan pastimes of Lord Krishna, impregnated the heart of Rupa Goswami with spiritual potency. By this potency, Sri Rupa Goswami could revive the activities of Krishna in Vrindavan, activities almost lost to memory. In this way, he spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's have somebody read this translation.
Indeed, Srila Rupa Goswami, whose dear friend was Swarup Damodar, was the exact replica of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was very, very dear to the Lord. Being the embodiment of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ecstatic love. Sri Rupa Goswami was naturally very beautiful. He very carefully followed the principles enunciated by the Lord, and he was a competent person to explain properly the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expanded his mercy to Sri Rupa Goswami just so he could render service by writing transcendental literature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You can recite the verse also, beautiful verse. Priya Swarupe, Daita Swarupe, Prema Swarupe, Sahajabhirupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhureka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. Okay, so now we see how there are three commentaries on Upadeshamrita, where one is our Param Guru's Nectar of Instruction by Srila Rupa, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and then his Guru, and his commentary is Anuvritti, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and then there is a commentary by Bhakti Vinod Thakur also, which is called Piyusha Varshini Vritti. So Prabhupada has quoted from the other two vrittis, vrittis also, and spoken about them in his purport. Upadeshamrita at a glance. First is avoiding things unfavorable to bhakti, the 6 urges and the 6 vices, and then adopting things favorable to bhakti, the 6 virtues 6 loving exchanges, and then ultimately going up to the level of residing in Braja, holiest spot, Srimati Radharani and Sri Radhakund. Okay, so again, this is still, we're going to, let's get into it. Let's do it one line at a time. This is the first verse of Upadeshamrita. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam. Jihva vegam udaropastha vegam. Etan veganyo vishaheta dhira. Sarvam apimam prithvim sashishyat. Let's do it together 2 more times. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam. Jihva vegam udaropastha vegam. Etan veganyo vishaheta dhiraha. Sarvam apimam prithvim sashishyat. Okay, one more time. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam. Jiva vegam udaropastha vegam. Etan veganyo vishaheta dhira. Sarvam apimam prithvim sashishyat. Okay, let's have somebody read the translation. It's not here. You can do it from
In
your
a
book.
sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and the genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so the 6 urges are described in this verse, and they're categorized in these 3. So this is not direct bhakti, but when we follow these do's and don'ts, these regulations, then what happens? These help us in our progress in the path of bhakti. So these 6 urges are divided into 3 categories. One is speech, vacho vegam, which is speech. Then manasa krodha vegam, demands or urges of the mind and anger. They come under mind. And then the body, which is urges of the tongue, the belly, and the genitals. So these 3 categorized in Anuvritti. If you read the purport towards the end, Prabhupada talks about this, and he says how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj has brought these 6 urges under these 3 categories. Okay, so Prabhupada also, so we're going in the purport, whatever Prabhupada has explained, and we're going to go through all of that and talk about all of, whatever Prabhupada has discussed. So he speaks about the 6 symptoms of Sharanagati. Also, I think this is one of the questions that will come. Okay, no, this will not come. But let's just go through this. Anukulasya sankalpaha pratikulasya varjanam rakshishyati vishwaso gotritve varanam tatha atmanikshepa karpane shadvidha sharanagati. So 6 symptoms of Sharanagati are discussed.
Haribhakti
Purport. You can read this in greater detail. This is from the Hari Bhakti Vilas. And then definition of pure bhakti is also given. And why these are quoted? They also speak about the similar rules and regulations. So just to show how different scriptures are in line with each other. That's why Prabhupada has quoted all of these. Here also we see definition of pure bhakti is anya vilashita shunyam jnana karmadya navritam anukulena krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttamam. This is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, again talking about how in pure bhakti there is no other motivation other than just pure devotional service, which is devoid of jnana, karma, etc. Anukulena Krishnanu, we do things which are favorable in our Krishna Bhakti. and that is the pure devotional service. Prabhupada also speaks about atonement and the 4 levels of intelligence, and that is one of the questions that will come in our exam, also the homework question. How an intelligent person, an example Prabhupada gives is that, for example, there is a thief who is stealing, put in jail. So that experience will make him not steal again when he comes out. So there are 4 levels of intelligence. One person is hearing about how there are rules and regulations about one person who steals will go to jail and get punished. So I should not steal. So just by reading and hearing, one understands the rules and regulations, and he will not do something which is sinful. That's the first level of intelligence. Second level is the person does it, right? And sees somebody getting the punishment and will not do it. The third is he himself goes through the experience and then will not do it. And the fourth is he will go through the experience of getting punished, come out and still do it. So that's the lowest level. And Prabhupada calls them rascals. They will, favorite word of Prabhupada, I really like it whenever I hear from Prabhupada when he calls, such people rascals. So yeah, those people who do not even understand by going through the experience. So your question will be on this. Prabhupada speaks about atonement and how he brings in the question raised by Parikshit Maharaj, how people, go through the punishment, but then still do it again. What kind of atonement is that then? And the example is given of an elephant who takes a bath but comes out and puts all this dust again on him. That atonement is like that. So getting rid of all the sinful, getting a reaction, cleansing himself, but then doing the activity again, which is sinful. And he also, Prabhupada talks about confessions, that in a church, when people go and they confess that we've done all these sinful things, they think they've atoned, but then soon after that, they come out of the church the very next day, they start their sinful activities again, thinking that the next weekend they'll go and again confess and get rid of their reactions. So austerity is the real atonement. When a person knows that, yes, I have done something sinful and I should not do it again, that is paschatap. So paschatap is when one regrets doing it and then does not do it again. And that is the real atonement. In urges to speak, example is given of the Gyanis, Karmis, and people who do prajalpa. So that is also when we speak all nonsensical things, it's like croaking of a frog, which invites, this is my address, so-and-so, 7 Misty Run, please come and, eat me. So that's how Gyanis, Karmis, and people who do prajalpa are inviting death. I'm right here, take me. So Prabhupada talks about Mayavadis who just speak about, analytical and all of those, but they don't come to the position of surrendering to Krishna, and they never speak about how, that is the highest. Then karmis, the 2 kind of karmis. One is karmis who are totally materialistic, talking about how I can gain more and more wealth and this and that. And then there are karmis who are karmakandis, who are following the regulations in the scriptures, from the Vedas especially, and doing that kind of prescribed duties which will give them certain benefits. So doing some homa or yagya or puja so that they get benefit out of it. So all of this come under the same category of the urge to speak and speaking nothing, not speaking about Krishna and speaking everything else. Also mundane books, writing, reading, all of that also comes under the category of urge of speech, where all mundane material is spoken about or written about, and people are reading or people are writing, and all that is also unnecessary and a waste of time. So in the Puja Mataji, you have raised your hand.
Mataji, I missed Prajalpa Mataji. If you can repeat that one.
Prajalpa also, where even devotees, when they speak about anything else except Krishna, that's Prajalpa. Well, what is necessary has to be spoken if you're in the service of Krishna, whatever is necessary. So I remember one time I was listening to a lecture by my Guru Maharaj, sitting in Sunday feast, right? People speak to each other, and Maharaj was talking about how you can bring Krishna in your conversation even then, just like you're simply talking about sitting with somebody and having prasad, talking about how it's raining right now outside. This is nothing. Remember the rain in Vrindavan when Indra was pouring that, thunderous kind of. So, like bringing Krishna in every conversation that we have with others, that rids us or helps us not get into prajalpa. Okay, this is from the Bhagavatam about mundane books. Let's have somebody read the translation.
Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage of crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. Hare Krishna.
नयत्पचश्चित्रपदं हरेर्यशो जगत्पवित्रं प्रज्ञीतकर्हिचित् तद्वायसं तीर्थम् उशन्ति मानसा नयत्र हंसा निरमन्ति शिक्षयाः. So Prabhupada also used to talk about how crows, and he especially spoke about how in India, people who follow the Western world are like new crows. You must have heard this, right? Even I heard it from our Guru Maharaj also. He was quoting Prabhupada, how Prabhupada used to call these Indians who follow the Westerners are like new crows. So crows, they gather around garbage and they're so happy to see so much garbage, and they, loudly, they make those noises, croaking noises, so disturbing, right? But the new crows or the young crows who come there, they make louder noises because they've just now seen that trash. So Prabhupada used to say, Indians who follow the Westerners are like new crows because they've just now found garbage and they're following the same, those older crows. So this is all waste of time. And controlling speech, Prabhupada speaks about how Krishna Katha is the only way we can control our speech. So we're just doing introduction. We'll get into the main verse. I think, we started with the Vacho Vegam. So this is the first one, the urge to speak. So Krishna Katha, controlling speech by reading spiritual books, by chanting the holy names, and spiritual books. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin prati shlokam abhadya bhadyapi namanyanantasya yashoni nitani yat shrimanti gayanti griniti sadhava. Grinanti sadhava. Let's read the translation, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11. I'm sorry, I didn't bring it here. If somebody can just quickly bring it up on Vedabase. And somebody, or should I do it? Hold on. Okay. On the other hand, that literature,
it is here.
which is full of
Ah.
descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest.
Very good.
So, compared to the mundane literature, the scriptures, even if composed imperfectly, they are the best because they bring about auspiciousness in the lives of people. Okay, so Vacho Vegam, the urge to speak. The conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless, nonsensical talk. We should always endeavor to use our speaking power solely for the purpose of realizing Krishna consciousness. Okay, so instead on the left, you see, instead of speaking all nonsensical words from about this material world, right? Going to places, traveling, you can see all kind of pictures over here. And that's all blah, 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 nonsensical. But when we speak and hear about Krishna, that is what is favorable to our bhakti. The conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless, nonsensical talk. We should always endeavor to use our speaking power solely for the purpose of realizing Krishna. Is the same thing but different pictures. Okay, so a toad in a field speaks by croaking, and similarly, everyone who has a tongue wants to speak even if all he has to say is nonsense. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake. Please come here and eat me. Nevertheless, although it is inviting death, the toad goes on croaking. The talking of materialistic men and impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers may be compared to the croaking of frogs. They are always speaking nonsense and thus inviting death to catch them. So Mayavadi, Moni. So Mona is also described in the purport where they think they are controlling their speech but just by not speaking anything. But Prabhupada says the self-imposed silence is not the answer. Temporarily appears helpful but ultimately proves a failure. Rupa Goswami, Krishna Katha, engaging the speaking process in glorifying the Supreme Lord Krishna, the preacher of Krishna Katha is always beyond the clutches of death. Is liberation. Okay, so the next is urges of the mind, Manasa Vegam, and that is categorized in two ways: the attachment to speak, the attachments of the urges of the mind, where we have desires or attachments, and the anger also comes in this category. So we have innumerable desires and avirodha pariti, which is unrestricted attachment, and virodha yukta krodha, which is anger and frustration. So we have unlimited or unrestricted attachments, and when they are not fulfilled due to frustration, what happens? Anger comes. So both of these are put under the urges of mind by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj in his Anuvritti. So Manasa Vegam, mind's demands, how to control. Again, one of the homework questions in our exam will be how to control the urges of mind and anger. So controlling the mind's demands, this is what it is, how to control the mind. Problem of the mind is it is restless and it is fickle. We cannot negate our thoughts and create vacuum. Idle mind attracts anarthas, unwanted desires. Yogic process to negate mind of all thoughts, to create a vacuum in the mind is artificial, it will not remain. If one always thinks of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best, the mind will automatically be controlled. If one always thinks of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best, the mind is naturally controlled. The restless, okay, we just did this. If Krishna is present in the mind, there is no possibility of being agitated by Maya's influence. And this is, you can quote, Krishna Surya Sama Maya hoy andhakar, yaha Krishna taha nahi mayara adhikar, from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the urge of anger, what is the problem, cannot stop altogether. Solution is apply rightly to the blasphemers. 3 examples of correct application of anger. So guideline is we should always be humble. So anger should not come. We should refrain. Even Krishna speaks about staying away from anger, right? Lust, anger, and envy, which are 3 gates to hell. So what is the solution? We should always remain humble. One should be ready to tolerate all insults to one's own self. But when Krishna or his pure devotees are blasphemed, a genuine devotee becomes angry and acts like fire against the offenders. So here we see 3 examples. One is Mahaprabhu himself getting angry when on Jagai and Madai, because they were hurting a devotee. Nityananda Prabhu. And here we see Arjuna was inspired by Krishna to fight, so that anger had to be brought out so that he could fight. But that anger was rightly directed towards the people who are creating a dharma in the society. So devotee's anger over here, which is Arjuna, is rightful. And then Hanumanji's anger, right? Where he burnt the Lanka down. So how to control your mind? The restless and fickle mind can only be controlled by putting the mind to the lotus feet of Krishna, and that can best be done by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and there is no alternative in this age. This is a lecture by Prabhupada in the Bhakti Vedantam. Okay, now the urges of the body, which is the 3rd category, where we have the urge of the tongue, the belly, and the genitals. So the tongue, you'll see how it was there before also. The tongue was there for the urge of speech, right? And then the urge of the tongue, and then the belly. So all 3 are about the tongue only. And if we can control the tongue, all the other organs are controlled. It's said that the tongue is, the shape of the tongue is also like a rudder of the ship. And wherever you direct the rudder, that's where the ship goes. So similarly, wherever we direct our tongue, that's where the body will go. And that brings me to, always I think about my grandmother. When she was leaving her body, we were so connected. I used to love her, I still love her so much. The day that she left her body, I remember in the evening, I put her head on my lap because she wasn't feeling well, and I was in school that time, stroking her forehead like this. And every once in a while, she wanted to get up and speak. And every time she wanted to speak, she had that, she had to throw up. She wasn't throwing up, but she had that feeling of, so I told her, please don't say anything, just lie down, just relax. And I remember that urge to speak was about the family, because all her life she's been taking care of the family members, being a housewife. She's getting up and she wanted to say, so we had a joint family. My uncle was on the ground floor, we were on the 1st floor. And he had small 2 girls, twins. And she wanted to get up and say, Unka doodh dal do, put their milk in the bottles, they must be hungry. So that's what's going on in her mind, even in that stage of illness, when she's almost, going to leave her body. This was in the evening time, and she left her body at night. So this is all she had in her mind. So wherever we direct our consciousness, whatever we speak, whatever we hear, whatever we read, that's where we are directing our consciousness, and that's where the body will also go. And somebody was later telling us, some astrologer who, looks at charts and all, he said that now my niece has come my grandmother's soul has come in the form of my niece. So come in the same family because that's what she was so worried about the family. And she's reborn in the family. I mean, I don't know how much that's true, but that could be because I saw now that we hear about, all these and read about the verses, Antakale chamame smaran mukta kanevaram, but yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, right? Whatever, wherever our consciousness is at the time we leave the body, that's the kind of body we'll get in our next birth. So the urges of the tongue Prabhupada says, is so important to control because, again, it's like a rudder of the ship. Even the shape is the same. Wherever that is directed towards, that's where the body will go. So if that is controlled, then everything else comes in line and it can be controlled. So here we see the urge of the body categorized into three: the tongue, belly, and genitals, where the tongue is not about talking. Here it is about eating palatable things, right? I want to eat this. Let me offer this to Krishna today because I want to eat it. That is also condemned by Prabhupada in the purport that we should not think like this. That also comes under the urge of the tongue. So Jiva Vegam, which is the problem is to eat palatable dishes in restaurants and sweet shops. So this is all from the purport. Unoffered food, eating at unscheduled times. So 6 kinds of urges of the tongue. This is from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj's commentary. Tamo, which is eating dead bodies, right? Eating meat. Rajo is eating spicy stuff, and Sattva is eating vegetables, grains, and drinking milk. All this is in the mode of goodness. Then Mahatamo is intoxicants, etc. Eating prasad, offering delicious food for the sake of satisfying the tongue, or eating too much of palatable dishes, again comes in the urge of the tongue. So, and then invitation to a rich man's place for the sake of the palatable food. Okay, now I get this invitation from, who are those? Recent big wedding in India. Which one?
Ambani,
Yeah.
the Ambani.
So, and there were some, even in our congregation, some got invited to go there for the wedding. So I'm not talking about them here, but in general, when we get invitation to a rich man's house or some parties like this, thinking there'll be so much nice food to eat, that also comes under the urge of the tongue. Okay, any questions so far? We kept going and going and going.
Mataji, that means the prasadam that we eat at ISKCON is also too much, which is wrong. It should be like South India, small pieces what you get, isn't it?
This commentary is by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who, when he saw that his Mahaprasad, when it was distributed, his own disciples were fighting for the sweets first. Let me get this sweet. So what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj used to do was that he used to mix everything, all the savory and the sweet, the rice dal and the rasgulla, everything was mixed and mashed. Now you eat this prasad. So, and he did it. This is seriously, he did it. So when we think of having prasad, because it's so palatable, I want to offer this to Krishna so I can eat it. First, that is the urge of the tongue. Second is, even if we don't do that, but when we're eating, we eat so much because it's palatable. That also comes under the urge of the tongue. So yes, should be like South India a little bit, right? But then there are people like me who love South Indian food, and then I'll end up eating so much. So much. So, okay, any other question? Or comment? Or reflection?
So Mataji, the goal then becomes to just eat with shant, like not become greedy, just take what is given and not try to get more, or like just eat with gratitude. Is that how we're supposed to? Because
Correct. I mean, I don't know when I'll learn that, but yes, eat what is given as Krishna Prasad. Eat however much we require to keep our body and soul together. That's what Prabhupada used to say. And don't overeat so much. I think 80% is what is suggested, and leave the rest 20% for, just like in a Coke bottle, if you fill up till the top and then put the lid, it can burst because there is no space around it. Similarly, in our stomach, we should leave some space for the gases, for the, when digestion is taking place, and for especially air, yeah, and little water, all of those things. There are so many rules and regulations on eating properly. I mean, I remember when we haven't had in a long time Bhakti Lata, where we used to have one session every month, especially just for women, if you attended any of those, where we had a presentation on just rightful eating. So we can have that again. I have the whole presentation. It's really nice. When to eat, what all to eat to keep our body healthy. I should also go through it again so that I can also follow correctly. Yes, Sakshi Gopal Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji, many times like our intentions to go to temple is ki okay, we'll attend the aarti and then we'll have sumptuous prasadam over there with kids. So what category will this fall under?
Category Mataji, urge of the tongue. At least we're having prasadam. At least we're on the right path. But yeah, coming to that level where we eat only so that our body and soul remains together, so we can perform our bhakti and our sadhana and our services properly. Coming to that stage will take some time for me, especially, but yeah, that is the perfect stage to come to. Whatever is given, I'll have, and not having the intention of going to the temple so that we can have prasad. One of them, yes, darshan is also there, meeting devotees is also there, and having prasad is also there. So for me, okay, I can get relieved of cooking today, and we can all have prasadam over there, and also bring some if there's extra, if if it's needed. All of those things, yes, they come under the urge of the tongue or jivva vegan. Jivara lala se iti uti dhai Shishnodara Pararayana Krishna nahi pai. Somebody can read the translation.
One who is subservient to the tongue and who thus goes here and there, devoted to the genitals and the belly, cannot attain Krishna.
I remember one of my friends, this is long time back, she said, my husband can go to San Francisco every other weekend because there's such a nice restaurant there to have the Bhature Chole. And I was stunned to drive up to San Francisco every week. I mean, they don't do it, but she said he can do it. So this is just one example. People can go far off places because of just satisfying their tongue, taste of, that urge of the tongue to taste palatable things. So people who do this, according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, cannot attain Krishna. Prabhupada also speaks about we should not be eating in restaurants, even if they are vegan, vegetarian restaurants. Jain food is cooked there. We can have, okay, if there's emergency and there's no food, then our acharyas say it is okay. Our superiors, devotees they say it is okay because we have to eat something. So in a Jain restaurant, yes, I can offer to Krishna and have, this is emergency situation. We should not, because there's such nice food and it tastes good and it is a vegetarian restaurant, I can always go and eat there. That is also, we should avoid that. We should not get into it because the person who's cooking over there might not be a vegetarian. That's one thing. His karma is put in the food and we are having that food. Again, there's a beautiful verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. If we eat food, if you can remember that verse, you can unmute and tell us, but I'm forgetting the verse right now. If we eat anything, Ankai, Malina man hoy, na hoy Krishna Rasmaran, something like this. That's not the correct wordings, but this is what it means, that if we eat which is cooked by a non-devotee, then the heart becomes contaminated. And when the heart becomes contaminated, we cannot think of Krishna. And that is one thing which we want to do, right? That's why we're following all these rules of bhakti, because we want to think of Krishna always. Always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna. These are the two rules under which every other rule comes in our bhakti yoga path. So if we eat food which is cooked by a non-devotee, that will lead us to contamination of the heart, what will happen because of the consequence would be that we cannot think of Krishna because of that. Such a waste of time of whatever sadhana we're doing throughout the day then, right? We chanting all our 16 rounds even more. We're going to the temple to do all our services. We're doing all that, but then end of the day, we go to a restaurant and eat food cooked by a non-devotee, and all of that is nullified because now we cannot think of Krishna eating that food which has contaminated our heart. And so this is spoken by Mahaprabhu. Grame katha na shunibe, grame varta na kahibe, bhala na khaibe, ara bhala na paribe. Do not talk like people in general or hear what they say. You should not eat very palatable food, nor should you dress very nicely. So this is especially for the sannyasis, but in general for everyone. And this is our Prashadam prayers by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We all know the prayers, but let's read the translation. O brothers, this material body is a network of ignorance, and the senses are one's deadly enemies, for they throw the soul into the ocean of material sense enjoyment. Among the senses, the tongue is the most ferocious and verily wicked. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world. O brothers, Lord Krishna is very merciful. Just to control the tongue, he has given us the remnants of his own food. Now please eat these nectarian grains while singing the glories of their lordship, Sri Radha and Krishna, and in love call out Chaitanya Nitai. Vehemence of the tongue, 6 kinds of taste: sweet, sour, bitter, pungent, salty, and astringent. Somebody asked me a long time back, what kind of food do you like? Do you like salty or do you like sweet? Generally, people ask this kind of question, right? Do you like salty or do you like sweet? And I told them I like everything, whatever you give me. I love sour, I love sweet, I love astringent. And now there are restrictions. Even the doctors told me, cannot eat this, cannot eat this, cannot eat this. So yeah, there are 6 kinds of taste which pull our taste buds towards those, that sense enjoyment of eating. Okay, then the dead bodies, which is meat, intoxicants, spices. Then there's prasad. Even prasad makes one fall prey if we eat too much or if we think about offering palatable and then having that prasad. So controlling the tongue, solution is control the urge by supplying only prasad, to eat when Krishna arranges for prasad, and to eat at the scheduled times, and also by fasting, we can control the tongue. Urges of the stomach. We may ask, what is the difference between urge of eating and urges of the belly? It is almost the same thing, right? But here we see problem is unnecessarily involvement, meaning eating too much and filling our belly. So used not only to, and solution is, okay, this is the urge of the genitals, used only to beget Krishna conscious children. 2 types of urges are there. of the genitals, legal, and then there is proper. Marry according to the Shastras and beget Krishna conscious children. Illegal is, or improper, it should be avoided. So urges of the body, belly, of the body, which has three, tongue, belly, and genitals. Demands of the body can be divided into three categories: tongue, belly, and genitals. These three senses are physically situated in a straight line. Bodily demands begin with the tongue. By restraining the demands of tongue, the urges of the belly and genitals can automatically be controlled. How? By limiting the activities of the tongue to the eating of prasad only. Instructions to those in the renounced order. Can somebody read this?
Prem Vivarta, Chapter 7, Sri Jagadananda Pandit. Should not listen to or talk about ordinary worldly things. Should not talk about worldly things while meeting others. Do not think of women even in dreams. You have accepted the renounced order of life with a vow that forbids you to associate with women. Always remember the incident of Chota Haridas. Do not eat luxurious dishes or dress in fine garments. Always remain humble and serve their lordships, Sri Sri Radha Krishna, in your heart of hearts. Hare Krishna.
This is for the renounced order for the sannyasis, but in general for everyone. If we can follow these, then it is our path towards Krishna bhakti becomes very clean and clear. You're controlling the six. Yes, Kamlavati Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, could you go over the Chota Haridas pastime or situation?
So the situation
Please.
was that Kirtan was going on with Mahaprabhu and all his disciples, and Chota Haridas, who was a sannyasi, just happened to look over to a lady who was Mataji, who was very beautiful. He just looked, and this was noticed, and he was given a punishment. And I don't remember what the punishment was. Anybody can remind me if you remember? He was banished, I think, by
Yes, he was banished.
Mahaprabhu. So yeah, always remember the incident, because even looking over and because wherever we look, the idea and the thoughts will come. So Mahaprabhu was through Chota Haridas, although he himself wasn't creating that much of a desire to enjoy with the woman, but to show the example and teach others about how not to even look towards the other gender, especially for the sannyasis to look towards Matajis, to make that a very sacred and very strict principle. This was that pastime happened. Just like pastime happened with Jiva Goswami, where he corrected, right? When Rupa Goswami was writing Nectar of Devotion, was it? When he corrected, I'm forgetting the name. So Rupa Goswami didn't like it, and he told Jiva Goswami to leave Vrindavan, because he said, in Vrindavan, we're not here to debate or argue with others. We are here for our bhakti, for our sadhana. And then Jiva Goswami took it very, very favorably. He didn't say anything, and he just left. Later he came back. Sanatana Goswami saw his condition. He was brought back. Our Guru Maharaj also is very strict about these. When he's speaking to the brahmacharis and to the sannyasis, he's very strict about not even looking at the Matajis when there is no service. If the service requires one to interact with Matajis, then that's okay. But I remember this was spoken by Gaurang Prabhu also in his class. One of the Matajis, after class, she came to him and she said that, I'm so offended when you're giving class, you're just looking at the men's section. You don't even look at where women are sitting. So you don't even consider that we're sitting here. We're just like as if they were not there. So he said, no, actually, I was looking towards your feet. Because for us, all Matajis are like our mothers, our ladies are like our mothers. So I was looking at your feet. So yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, Mataji.
So Anuvritti, which is the commentary of Upadeshamrita by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Here is what he says: material identification creates three kinds of urges. Urge to speak, urge of or demand of the mind, which is attachment and anger, urges of the or demand of the body, which is tongue, belly, and genital. So we've done this before. It's like a recap for us. Effect of succumbing to these three, life becomes inauspicious. Tapasya is practices meant to resist these demands is called tapasya. Such a person is called a tapasvi. Result is one can overcome victimization by material energy. Rishabdev, he speaks in the Bhagavatam. He says, Nayam Deho Deha Bhajan Riloke. Let's read the translation. Lord Rishabdev told his sons, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. Tapodivyam putrikayena sattvam. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. Prabhupada in the purport also speaks about purifying one's life. He said, either you can do it by restraining, by reading scriptures, by controlling your this, but you can directly do it by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and engaging in the service of Krishna. And that is a direct process. It's a quick and a subtle way to obtain purification and the highest goal. Conclusion, one who can control these six, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, is a Swami or Goswami, and versus one who's a Godas, who is a servant of senses. So text one recommends that give up the service of the senses and serve the Supreme Lord. Servant of the senses cannot become servant of Krishna. Prabhupada also used to see when he came to the Western world how people have dogs and cats and they're serving them. So he used to say, if you serve a dog, you can never serve God. Okay, and then Prahlad Maharaj says in the Bhagavatam, here's this beautiful verse, Materna Krishne Paratasvatova Mito Vipatate Grihavratanam Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram Puna Punashchar Vitacharvananam. Prahlad Maharaj replied, let's have somebody read this. You can unmute and read if you haven't yet.
Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress towards hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations towards Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Should we go on? Any reflections, questions so far? We're almost done. We are done. Yes.
Krishna said, surrender unto me and everything is done. I'll call you back. All these things, me and surrender, I don't know how many lifetimes.
For all of us. But yes, that's why Krishna knew. That's why he came as Mahaprabhu, and that's why he instructed Rupa Goswami and the other 5 Goswamis to go to Vrindavan and write these scriptures, excavate places of pastimes and open these beautiful temples, build these temples so that we can go back to Krishna, right? That path becomes easy for us. And we know exactly how to follow, what to follow.